Doom Eternal is everything great about Doom 2016, but amplified. Bigger worlds, more enemies, and a shotgun with a grapple hook. I've never played another shooter with such a strong combat flow. Doom and Doom Eternal do everything they can to break modern shooter conventions, so if you take cover or try to camp in a single spot, you're at a great disadvantage. Enemies drop health after being torn apart, so the only way to be defensive is to be offensive, jumping around arenas, ripping and tearing from one demon to the next. Ammo's limited too, so you have to find a use for every single weapon in your inventory, learning and mastering them all. In Eternal, certain demons have weaknesses like the Kaku demon, who can quickly be dealt with by using the shotgun to fire an explosive round into their mouths. Or the Arachnotron's turret can be destroyed with the precision shot from the assault rifle. Chunks of flesh even fly off demons now, not only helping you to feel the impact of your shots, but also working as a damage indicator. I remember dying over and over to the Marauder when it was first introduced on its own, but later in the game it gets thrown into the fray with dozens of other demons, and somehow that thing that killed me 10 times earlier was just another part of the Hell Dance. As you get further and further into Doom Eternal, you'll almost instinctively go from one weapon to the next as a new enemy comes around the corner. There's an incredibly rewarding sense of mastery playing as this one guy taking down hundreds of demons at a time. Playing Doom Eternal is basically like,
I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me!
Eternal takes the core foundation of Doom 2016 and improves upon it in just about every way, one of the key areas being mobility. The Doomslayers always had a faster default movement speed than the majority of shooter protagonists, but arenas have been designed almost like jungle gyms. There's ledges to climb, bars to swing from, and you can even dash in the air Celeste style. There's so many ways to keep your flow going, and simply moving around extends the feeling of power. You've got to keep moving though. Playing on normal difficulty, a few powerful demons ganging up on you is enough to take you down in mere moments, but as you're swinging around, blowing up demons and using their remains as medkits, you get into a zen-like rhythm. Despite the scale and volume thrown at you, there was never a moment where I felt out of my depth, because with the tools you have, there's always a way out. Or through. Though in some ways Eternal adds a few too many systems on top of the otherwise intuitive formula. Not only do you have around 8 guns, but they all have multiple secondary functions. There's multiple grenades, a flamethrower, multiple air maneuvers, multiple upgradable elements, and of course, the glory kills. That's a lot to take in, and I'd often end up forgetting about the flame belch unless I was consciously trying to make use of it. Yet, it didn't feel like a hindrance. If anything, the quantity of systems means we'll be seeing people approach Doom Eternal in very different ways. Though much like Doom 2016, I'm still not a big fan of the upgradable elements. Most of the time, Doom does just about anything it can to throw you into a gameplay opportunity, and surfing through menus is one of the few areas where it just comes to a halt. At least the Doomslayer seems to agree, as there's barely any downtime with him. Found a new weapon? Bam. Found an attachment? Rip it off the machine. This guy doesn't do anything with subtlety. Even something as mundane as pressing a button has a powerful presence. This time around the story's a little more direct with more severe stakes than Doom 2016, but it still largely takes place in the background. Getting you back in the action seems to be the true goal. But you might want to brush yourself up on the events of the last game, as Eternal wastes very little time explaining why Earth is being attacked by demons or why the Doomslayer is heralded as a holy-like figure. There are some major glimpses into the Slayer as a character, and much like the previous game, you'll need to dig much deeper if you want to get really invested. The one thing truly holding Doom 2016 back was its variety of locales. Throughout the entire game, you're either making your way through a space station on Mars or battling in the depths of hell. And it seems Eternal took that criticism to heart, as almost every level takes place somewhere entirely new. Visually, Eternal is breathtaking, maintaining 60 FPS the majority of the time and looking stunning while doing so. There's so much more visual variety than the metal corridors of its predecessor, which helped encourage me to explore the levels even further. Progression is still largely linear, but maps are designed in an enticing way to encourage you to break free from the critical path and constantly be on the lookout for secrets. Levels are huge, but if you want to, you can fast travel back to previous areas and try and find even more secrets. However, Eternal does often come off as more game-like than other Dooms. There's areas with rotating Mario-like fireballs, suspended power-ups that refill your dash in platforming areas, and platforms that just float in the air. It can sometimes lose the contextual groundedness of Doom 2016, and sometimes it just comes off a little jarring. For the most part though, Eternal's worlds are absolutely stunning, and your new mobility opens up opportunities to hide secrets just about anywhere. You're encouraged to try and break the game's boundaries, and there's usually something waiting for you when you do. There's even optional Slayer gates that push your combat to the brink rather than just the usual platforming tests. There's a lot to uncover in these levels. Doom Eternal somehow makes Doom 2016 feel tame by comparison. It can get exhausting to play in bulk, but in the midst of combat, the only thing I could think about was how fun it was. Gameplay is the basis of everything in Doom Eternal, and all the other elements are simply there to complement it. The incredible soundtrack keeps you on edge, the detailed impact of your hits help you feel every kill, and the brief story elements get you in the mood to tear apart some demons. Over its 15-hour runtime, Eternal always manages to throw something new at you. Whether you're stringing together platforming abilities, taking control of a revenant, formally meeting a new demon, or getting another new toy like the Crucible, there's no moment in this game that doesn't feel justified. There's simply not another single-player shooter currently on the market that feels as meticulously designed around moment-to-moment enjoyment. Despite the series pioneering the multiplayer first-person shooter, online simply felt tacked on in Doom 2016 and it's almost entirely absent in Eternal. Instead of the typical deathmatch and objective-based modes, Eternal simply offers a Left 4 Dead-style 2v1 Demon vs Slayer brawl. Though unfortunately, as of this review, the online servers simply aren't live yet. However, I can't say a lot seems to hinge on this mode. It looks like a fine extra, but it doesn't seem to have the same weight and presence as the glory days of Doom's multiplayer. I'm sure there's still some fun to be had, but I doubt this is what anyone's here for with Eternal. But unless something crazy comes along, Doom Eternal is probably the most fun I'll have with a game this year. Every pillar complements and amplifies the other, resulting in the gaming equivalent of a heavy metal album. And did I mention the shotgun has a grapple? Because it does. I love Doom Eternal. It takes the core of Doom 2016 and improves upon it in just about every single way, while giving it the variety it always deserved. I'd love to see Doom nail the multiplayer side again, but it's hard to care much when playing what's easily up there as the best single player in a shooter. Doom Eternal rules.